Who's got next?
We
We
got
got next. Welcome back to another episode of the Blacktop Podcast. We're whole. You know, obviously we got my brother Reuven, we got my cousin Christian, and we're here to talk about some hoops. We obviously got a lot of things to talk about, but first of all, you know, let's clear the floor. Let's completely leave this first bit open here for Reuven, man. Go talk about your boys.
I'll keep this open ended so that you guys can share your thoughts on it too. But shame on league, shame on the refs on last night's rig job. 23-2 fouls in the fourth quarter. You take away the intentional fouls, it was 15-2. How many shots in the fourth quarter? How many non-calls were not made? And that RJ offensive foul and that AD flop? Are you kidding me? Scotty going to the rim against Max Christie. There were 3 instances where he could have gotten fouled in that, and the game was a 1 point difference. So you're gonna tell me right now that that game wasn't rigged? Listen, I know, like, I was so pissed off watching that game last night because I think Toronto held their own. It was a really fun game back and forth, and I don't think this is anything against LA. I think LA did a really good job getting to the rim. They were forceful in their attack. A lot of the calls made towards them were right, but a lot of the calls called against or non-calls against the Raptors, I think I don't know what that was, man. I mean, you've gone around the league, you've seen the viral rant from Darko Rajakovic calling that. Dude, I think, do you guys think that's like top 10 rant, like coach rant of all time?
Oh,
Because I've
it's
seen
up.
people are
It's up
adding that in
there.
the pantheon. Yeah,
Cause
people are
like
adding that in there.
even when you think Coach Rand, what's like the first one that comes to your guys' mind?
Oh man, take that for data. For me in the NBA, I gotta go with what's his name? Um, he just coached the Grizzlies, David Fizdale. Take that for data.
Mm,
When he was coaching the Grindhouse, but I'm sure there are other coaching ones that you can think of.
I think it's definitely up there for sure. I think just based off all like the discourse it's generated. I mean to even think that you have that much of a discrepancy, and when you look at the personnel of the Raptors, it's almost impossible when you think about it. RJ Barrett puts an incredible amount of pressure on the rim. Pascal
Yep.
Siakam's the same. Scotty definitely got hacked a few times on that last drive. So, it's
Uh,
it's disappointing
it's
to
yeah.
see that we're still facing these kind of refereeing problems. And it's
Thank
not
you.
even like this is like one big glaring moment. There's been a whole bunch of there's a whole catalog of things we could look at from this season. But overall, I think it just points to the fact that you know there needs to be
Needs
there
to
has to be
switch up. There
something the
needs to be
league
something.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's punishment or I don't know what they do. I mean, this is not the second time Toronto has had a massive rant against Ben Taylor specifically. You can go to last year where Fred had that uh what was that 5 minute rant just dropping f bombs about Ben Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh
That was
yeah.
an all time rant, dude.
I had to
And
go
then
back to that.
this year it's Darko, and it's the same ref, man. And also this isn't the first time we've seen like several refs. Like, if you think about it, like go across I can't remember who I was listening to, but like you could name certain refs, and like they're not even supposed to be like they're the backstory of the game. Like they're supposed to be the social worker. They're supposed to be like the interceptor of the
Mm-hmm.
game, like just keeping things afloat, right? You let the game flow. But then there's the Scott Fosters and the freaking Ben Taylors of the world,
The
where it's like,
Eric
bro,
Lewis's.
oh my god, bro, like
That's my
get
fantasy
off.
team's name this year. It's Eric
Yeah,
Lewis
might
in a
have,
Celtics jersey.
bro. Like I've seen so many memes like people buying Lakers jerseys, and it was like the refs jerseys, and man, like there have been so many breakdowns about like every foul call that wasn't called against Toronto. It was just, I mean, he had a bar too where he was like, if they had to win tonight, then we shouldn't have shown up. That was a bar.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think there's just no excuse to have that much of discrepancy. Because again, it's not like we're talking about the Golden State Warriors where everything, majority of the Production's
on
coming
the
from
perimeter.
3-point line.
Agreed.
Toronto, from all intents and purposes, is a team that likes to get downhill when you look at the personnel. So
And they also have no shooting. Like
yeah,
Toronto, for the longest time, has had no shooting. Obviously, they're a much better team now in that sense. But like,
Yeah.
that everything they do is so like in the paint oriented, and
Mhm.
they outscored them in the paint, and they had more paint touches and more attempts at the rim. So I mean, I think they just got to fix stuff. I don't know, Christian. What do you think? Because like, I feel like what do you think the punishments should be? Like, I feel like there has to be something. Like, if there's refs getting fined or suspended, I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't really know either. I feel that like putting refs through a suspension, I feel that it would just be like sort of to like appease the media, but I don't really know if there's a true solution to it, which is unfortunate. I think there's like so much business that goes on behind the scene in basketball, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I feel like to appease sort of the public media and to like at least display a more fair, uh, I guess, result. It would make sense to suspend the refs and I don't know, like kind of have them like, do you cut a refs pay? Like they don't make they don't make the money that the fucking NBA players do.
that's true.
Like they just don't make a paycheck and all of a sudden like little Timmy's not eating. I don't know.
Lil Timmy's not eating, bro.
Like I don't really know what the solution is, unfortunately. Like it would be so much different if it were a player situation that was sort of like they're like Tom Brady deflating the balls or some shit like that. But it's like the people that kind of just help the organization of the game go. Yeah, I wish I had an answer for that, but I feel like I don't.
I think the big thing we're probably gonna see is that Ben Taylor's probably not gonna get as many playoff games potentially. I think is something that we could
Mm.
look at, but overall it sucks to say, but it's just kind of another drop in the bucket, and you know Adam Silver will more than likely probably just ride it out until the next time a ref makes a major mistake, which is like I think something that's very broken with basketball at the moment, because
Yeah,
there is definitely a big problem there where it's not necessarily that uh I mean not necessarily, it's just the fact that the refs are all very there's just a big amount of inconsistency, which is
yeah,
Mm.
human nature at the end of the day. But yeah, what happened last night is you can't have stuff like that happening for sure.
yeah. You can. I mean, I'll do my last point on that. It's like it's just ruining the integrity of the game.
Absolutely.
It's just like it's just ruining the flow of the game and like the game management last night from Ben Taylor. I just don't understand how you see the things like I try to watch every game as like, it's obviously difficult, but as with an unbiased lens as possible. And there were many times where I'm like, yeah, the Raptors committed a lot of bad fouls last night. I think and it's a younger team, so they made a lot of bad decisions defensively. But like the thing about IQ, that's a basketball play,
Mm-hmm.
and that being a flagrant when Torian Prince opened the game undercutting Pascal in the open court, and then you don't call that a flagrant. Like those are the things that I'm talking about. I was like, it feels very blatant. So yeah, we're ruining the integrity of the game. And like whenever you talk about NBA basketball with somebody who is more of a basketball junkie in general, oftentimes they're like, well, the ref and the way the game's called and officiated is so different to every other league. So yeah, I think in terms of discrepancy, even between leagues, I think the NBA's got a big problem with refs, man.
Yeah, they should just let Tony Brothers ref every game.
Yeah,
That guy's the
yeah.
best ref. Him and Gucci
And
Mane.
oh yeah, what's his name again?
Oh man, I don't even know his real name, but even like the players call him Gucci Mane.
Or just let the Luka Doncic's the crush play ref the games. What's that girl's name?
I don't know, but
The one he rinsed up on that in that court that one game.
yeah. And did
Pete?
he get a tech? Man, Kelly Oubre is rolling in his apartment in Philadelphia for that.
Damn.
All right, so moving on from there, we got a few things to talk about. The big thing being, let's start here. Trouble at the point. Now, there are two teams specifically we're going to talk about here. The Indiana Pacers. Let's start with them. I saw the Tyrese Halliburton injury. Did not look too pretty. The dude just, the man was looking like a gymnast, looking like Simone Biles, did the whole split. And when we look at their schedule, in my opinion, I think I read somewhere we're looking at about 2 weeks without Hallie. By somewhere, I mean the Yahoo Fantasy app, which is where I get a lot of my injury updates. And the schedule that they're looking at without Hallie is, in my opinion, I think not too bad. Right now they're playing the Wizards, which is a game they were winning last time I checked. But after that, you have in order the Hawks, the Nuggets, the Jazz, the Kings, the Trailblazers, the Suns, the Nuggets, the Sixers, the Suns, and the Grizzlies. Out of that, how many is that? Out of those 11 or so games, there's only really maybe 3-ish that you're looking at as like, oh man, these are going to be our big tests without Halliburton. That being obviously the 2 Nuggets games and the Sixers games. But, when we look at the Pacers, obviously it all runs through Halliburton for sure. But I think this is going to, one, you really look at a guy like TJ McConnell as well as Andrew Nemhard, our Canadian brother, and it's going to be hard now, I think, for Rick Carlisle and maybe even the front office to think about parting ways with TJ McConnell when you have like an insurance piece like him. It's I think tough to think about cashing in on, like, because what would y'all say TJ McConnell's value is, like the 5 seconds that everybody was throwing around last year for role players?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of teams would definitely benefit from having a TJ McConnell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he has quite a bit of value as far as like, just contending role players. Like he's at a good ripe age. He's not necessarily like a slouch when it comes to just like, I guess, being that player off the bench. Like he's not necessarily going to shoot you out of game. I hate to say it, like I'm trying to find a way to tiptoe around it, but he's that white guy, like he's a trusty white guy on the bench. So yeah, I think he garners some seconds and even some, player for player value.
I mean, could y'all see a future where, he shows out in this role, and then maybe we're even looking at a team being desperate enough, aka I don't even know if the Suns can really throw out any of their first, but could a team be that desperate?
I mean, I was even thinking along the same lines for a guy like Andrew Nemhard overall. Like it's not I mean, it's not a secret or anything that it seems like this team is out there hunting for another player. It seems like Pascal's the player that keeps in the rumor mill with Indiana. And so I think this is an opportunity for either TJ McConnell and or Andrew Nemhard. Like you play them both significant time, and then you're talking about upping their trade value and or like giving them an opportunity to shine, and then you see what happens after that. I don't know. I feel like TJ McConnell is a guy for this team, like on any team. Like he's the Matthew Dellavedova for the Cavs that we've seen for a long time, right?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect comp.
And it's like that, or you talk about like go a couple years back, the Luke Ridnours of the world, or like
That's a Seattle
like these guys,
the Steve Novaks of the world.
Oh, we're gonna start the JJ Redicks of the world.
Okay, no, don't disrespect JJ Redick like that.
Hey,
yo, JJ's on another level. Come on, man.
JJ, we're talking about white guys in the NBA. JJ was a white boy.
Steve Novak was the man, bro. Steve Novak was the man, and he got himself a fat contract to Toronto until he learned how to not to shoot anymore.
That's what he lost.
So, but you know what? Like that's what I'm saying is like he's that guy that you could plug in any team and find success. So, I mean, do you think they would start him, or do you think?
Well, I think they started Nemhard today.
Yeah,
because I feel like TJ's sort of become ingrained into that bench and that role, just in terms of being a table setter for that second unit, and just being like the gritty guy. He's He's gonna dive for the loose balls. He's gonna take a couple of charges every
Yeah.
game. So I think Carlisle's trying to keep that rhythm of him being able to come off the bench and, you know, be that high IQ guy in that second unit.
Do you guys think that the Pacers drop though in the standings? I mean, 2 weeks is a while too. If we're talking
Yeah.
about 2 weeks, he's probably not going to get back within 2 weeks. For
Yeah,
being honest,
2 weeks seems like a very optimistic point. Because
do you think Chen, DJ? Do
that
you
did
think
not
they
look
drop?
good. Where are they right now?
They're 6, but they're tied with Miami for 5th, and they're half a game back of
aren't
New York for 4th.
Yeah, isn't like 4th all the way to the bottom of the
To 8th.
play-in, all like a couple games within each other?
Yeah, so here I'll read it out. So 4th is 22-15, which is the Knicks. They're a half game up of the Heat, Pacers, and Cavs, who all have the same record, all the way to the Magic, and then the Bulls and the Nets and the Raptors and the Hawks are the 4 teams fighting for play-in spots. So they're a bit of a gap away from number 8.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're looking at 4 to 8 is like separated by 1 game.
I think it'd be tough for them not to drop, but I don't think, because we think about last year, there was another big stretch where they were without Hallie, and
And they struggled.
that was like the big reason they dropped out of like even the play-in run.
Mhm.
But I think you're also looking at this team where, you know, Aaron Nesmith was much of an afterthought compared to where he is now, where, you know, I don't know in what world, but he's a starting power forward now. You got
Yeah.
Obi Toppin as well, as who's also having a bit of a resurgence. I think you're just looking at, you know, a more tested team than last year. So do they
Mhm.
drop a bit? For sure. But I don't know if I don't think it'll be to the same levels as it was last year, especially with, again, you're playing like the Hawks in your next game, who, you know, by all intents and purposes have sort of fallen out of being relevant towards the playoff picture this year. You have the Jazz, who are obviously on the midst of blowing things up. The Trailblazers, who are rebuilding. You have a Phoenix Sun team that has really lost all forms of their identity ever since, you know, the season started, and now we look at to where they are now, and it's not looking good, I guess is what I'll say. So I think this is, you never want to lose Hallie, but the stretch of the games that they're looking at now is sort of,
That's good as
you
the
know,
guess.
yeah, definitely.
Chin, what do you think they drop?
I think they do drop a couple spots. I kind of agree that this team isn't, you know, I don't know if tenured is the best word, but they definitely do have some experience with playing without him. And I think they have a lot of players who I think have even come into their own in the last year. I mean, Bruce Brown just joined the roster this year. That's correct, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about
Yeah.
Bruce.
I mean, given that he did join the roster this year, but someone like him who's coming off of like a championship run, Miles Turner, just I think continuing to evolve into his role, probably will see an uptick in minutes, even with, you know, not to say like the positions are really affected, but I think he's just going to see an uptick in usage. I think these players are kind of tested is a good word. I think they're going to be not ready per se. They're definitely going to lose games, but I don't think they're going to have such a heavy drop for, I guess, in comparison to last year. Yeah.
Oh man, y'all, guess what TJ McConnell's at the moment? It's 81 to 89 for the Pacers. Guess what McConnell's stat line is at this moment?
He's got like 10, 6, and 5.
Ooh, what's your guess, Chin?
His averages.
No, what's he at like right now, like stat wise?
Oh, for the day.
Yeah.
It should be like
Yeah.
23, 7, and 9 or something.
Okay,
Bro.
What quarter is it in? What quarter is it in?
Fourth quarter just started.
Oh, he's got 18, doesn't he?
Nah, Ruben, his first guess was close. He's 10, 2, and 7. So
Okay.
that's perfect from your backup point.
That's a McConnell line right there, man.
Absolutely. Oh, 2 steals. That's even more of a McConnell line.
Get some stops.
Nice.
In there,
oh yeah. So, you know, the Pacers, I feel there's definitely going to be a bit of a drop, but I think they're steady enough. You have a veteran coach like Rick Carlisle to it's a bend don't break type of situation. I don't think they're gonna drop into like the depths of the play in, but yeah, I think it's hard for them to keep that top 6 at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, shifting gears here. The Memphis Grizzlies. Christian was an honorary Grizzlies fan considering he had Ja on his injured reserves for fantasy. I saw that he had to drop him today for Karis LeVert. You know, how the mighty have fallen. No, but it sucks to see. Because
Yeah.
by every measure, he was back. He wasn't like coming back and had to like get a rhythm. He had a game winner on his first game back, and he never really had like too stinky of a game, I don't think, out of all the ones he was back. He was always, was it, all NBA, bona fide like bus driver jaw. There were definitely shades of that, but to think it was this much of this severe of a surgery he's gonna have to get, I would assume there was a little bit of a nagging thing that he might have got. But yeah, what are your guys' reactions to Jaws being out for the season?
Take it home, bro.
I think it is really sad for the league. I think like especially when he came back, and I think the talks about it with the anticipation of him coming back, I think there's a lot of recognition for Ja in the sense that he has a really great shot at being the next face of the league. And I think it has a lot to do, maybe not with his charisma, but just like kind of how he plays and sort of like that small athletic guy mentality. Like I think you saw that when Derrick Rose was like at his prime, saw that with Russell Westbrook. Maybe he was a bit jarring for some, but I think he just like was a put the team on his back type of guy as a small point guard. So I think it's unfortunate that like you kind of miss another season of that, and it also brings question to how he's going to come back the next time around. Given that he is out for the season confirmed, I think that is like I haven't personally heard of this type of shoulder injury, but if it's severe enough for him to miss time, then a lot of these injuries come with sort of differences in a game for a player when they come back, which I don't hope for, but it's just like a realistic sentiment about these sort of things. So I do hope the best that he just comes back and continues to be like that player. And I it's shitty for my fantasy team, but I think it is bad. It's unfortunate for the league. I think there isn't really a player like him in the league right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely feel for Memphis fans because like I swear every single season has been like you miss like 30 games from Ja.
Yeah.
And like we already opened up missing like a quarter of the year without Ja Morant, and now he's gonna miss the rest of the season. I don't know. I know that his play style is also like you mentioned is so special, but part of me thinks it's like damn, like it could be attributing to the reason why he gets injured so often.
Yeah.
Because we've seen guys like said Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose. Man, it's kind of sad. Like these are such explosive players, but then the longevity and the shelf life of their careers gets cut in half because of the way they play. And so it's tough, man. It's tough because like you want to see a guy like Ja be successful, and it's almost like the Grizzlies are cursed, man, because Marcus Smart went down with an injury. What was that yesterday too?
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
he went out for the fourth quarter with a little finger thing.
Yeah, I mean it's just like the massive amount of injuries. I mean, we're forgetting about Brandon Clark and Steven Adams. Like
Yeah.
half their starting, they're basically the whole starting lineup is out except for Jaren Jackson and Bane. It's just difficult, man. And obviously this team wasn't very good without Ja. But in the past, you could talk about how good they were without Ja. Like they had winning records without him, and a lot of times people were talking about the Grizzlies being better without him, which we all know is not true because they had Tyus Jones. Don't have that guy in your lineup anymore. It's tough, man. I guess it looks like. I mean, what's their draft situation like too? I mean, are they going to go
Uh,
into this draft with a? Because they're going to get a lottery pick, no?
yeah, right now they're slated to have the sixth pick. So
Wow.
when you look about guys that are uh around that pick range, you got guys like Ron Holland who's coming out of the G League Ignite,
Yeah,
Matas Buzelis who was supposed to like be the number one overall pick, but now,
the
Alex
kid,
Sarr
the
is
kid
looking
from
like,
French. Yeah.
yeah, another Frenchie,
Okay.
another French 7-footer. And then you even got
Yeah.
like if you want to go with a little bit of an upperclassman, Donovan Klingen at Gonzaga. So I it does suck since like your team's right in the midst of their prime. You look at Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr. I want to ask y'all a question after this, but I just think you're looking at this team and the window's now,
Yeah.
and any more missed time is just more time against you. So you know I have high hopes for them next year for sure. I think they're gonna come back. Hopefully everybody's healthy, and you know get back to being the second seed in the West type of vibes that they had. But
I've got a hot suggestion for them.
let's hear it.
If they're a lottery pick, I say they trade it.
You don't think they're
Hmm.
young enough though to where they could still get like a guy that could contribute to them?
I think. I mean, they were top three in the last 2 years. No,
Mm,
I mean, if you look at obviously it's not the same as with Tyus Jones, but we saw how good they were with Ja. I mean, that record, what were they 5-3, 6-3, or something like that? Like they were obviously a winning team with him. I mean, I think you talk about Jaren Jackson, Bain, and Ja, Steven Adams coming back next year, Brandon Clark coming back next year. I mean, you clearly have a plethora of other young players still on the squad. I think you really think about moving the sixth pick to a team where you give up veterans in shooting and other shot creation or splash out on another star that's potentially wanting to go. I mean, for sure, they're young enough where they can continue to add to that core. But part of me feels like, to what you just said, like the time is now. I think I see you invest, especially it's not like other teams aren't going to get better internally, like a Oklahoma City Thunder
mm.
or like, a Wolves team. I think the Kings are in some similar position as well. So I think they trade it. I think they should. In my opinion, I think they should. I think that's something they have to worth consider.
I mean, we can see what's on the market by then because I mean, it's a whole bunch of uncertainty surrounded. I could see the reason too, but I think it's just got to be the right piece for sure.
Yeah, and
However,
I don't think you'll ever trade a lottery pick unless it's the right piece. To some degree.
absolutely, yeah. I got a question to pose to y'all. Marcus Smart. He's what 30 years old. He is a guy I think can play for until he's like in his like late 30s. But right now, I think
Yeah.
he's a guy that needs to continue to strike while the iron's hot. If you're Memphis, do you consider trading him? I understand you just acquired him, but when you look at the fact that your season's lost, uh, the type of value a guy like Marcus Smart could add to a contending team, do you? Well, you're probably for sure getting in feelers, no doubt. But would you ever actually like pull the trigger on a trade?
Yes, I
Mm,
would.
yeah, I think so. I think you kind of just look towards development at this point, just with the season right off. I think they even move him, once his contract becomes available to move, which assumingly is
I
a
think
valid thing by probably next month
I think it's the 15th of this month. No, I
or
think
15th of
unless
this month. Yeah.
yeah, I believe it's 15th this month. Yeah, I think like you trade him. You look at trading him because again, you're probably looking at draft compensation or young players back. You focus on internal development, and then you can use that. You go into summer, you got some players you can work with, and where you can piece those guys together with the lottery pick that's incoming for a trade. Or, I mean, you have to look 2 or 3 steps ahead. And I think Memphis, I know that this season is pretty much a wash, but they're set up for long term success either way. If they stick out, trading Marcus Smart or keeping him into next season as a piece of their culture, I don't think there's a lose situation unless they trade Marcus Smart and you get Evan Fournier back. So, I mean, let's be real with it. I mean, that's not bad. Evan Fournier is actually an expiring deal, but I digress. Like,
He's also a
that's
fucking
not the kind of
bum.
value that he is.
That shit would happen in the NBA though.
That would, though.
Yeah, bro.
It would. It absolutely would.
And you think of, oh man, now don't think about it. That's kind of a sneaky trade, because that money probably matches, and then the Knicks still have a lot of those picks
Draft
in this upcoming
compensation.
draft. Oh shit, because I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I was gonna say I think Malcolm Brogdon could be somebody on like the Knicks' radar too, but you can get a guy like, oh man,
And I think what they're missing more is some real shot creation off the bench.
yeah.
And that's been a long-standing
You
issue.
think that's Evan Fournier?
So, hell no. Brother, it's not Cam Reddish, that's for sure.
Who plays actual minutes, my brother?
Brother, Lakers fans are calling for Darvin Ham's head because they are playing Cam Reddish.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is who gets actual minutes?
Brother, Evan Fournier would be playing if he was with Darvin Ham.
Oh, no, he would not. No, he would not.
Oh my god. This ongoing bit is hilarious.
Cam Reddish, I believe in that man.
And Lakers fans don't.
You know, it was the Lakers fans' fault for putting their trust into a guy like Taurean Prince. If they got another solid guy, and then Cam Reddish was the only weak link, and then I think it'd be a little better.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But
Yeah,
when you got two
man.
guys like that, oh man.
They believe in their long defensive wings. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great. That's why they're 10th in the West.
Okay, I want to double check something real quick.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, okay. I got a question for you boys. What do you guys think Jared Vanderbilt is shooting from the three this season, percentage-wise?
Oh, either really bad or freaking surprisingly good.
Throw the number out.
Okay, I'll okay, go. You go, Chen.
I got. Yeah, I actually don't know how this guy plays. I'm gonna say 27%.
I think he's shooting 17.8% from three.
Yo,
I mean, all due respect, you're both selling him incredibly high. This guy. It sucks because I love Jared Vanderbilt, but this man is shooting a whopping. Actually, I'll give you his full splits first. 37% from the field.
Ooh.
oh jeez.
Wasn't he supposed to be known as a finisher too?
Yeah, but
Might
you know it's
lower
kind of hard when you got AD in the lane as well. 67%
Hollis
from the
Jefferson.
line. Hey, honestly, they might have to call Rodney Hollis Jefferson. And a whopping
Left-handed Kobe.
7% from the three.
Oh.
Sniper gang.
How many attempts has he
How many
shot
attempts
this year?
here? Let's see.
Jesus, how bad are you?
15. So obviously it's not crazy volume, but
yeah. But then wait. So are you telling me he shot like 2 for 15 from three this year? Or
1
like
for 15.
Oh my god, brother! Kevin Hart can shoot better.
Oh.
Man, that's rough.
Shout out Cat Williams.
Oh, I still need to watch that.
Yeah, oh my god, the way you cooked it, man! You so gotta cook
everybody got pieced up in that interview from the Clips this season.
Bro. It's a good watch.
Yeah,
But
Cat's the GOAT. All
he
right.
is, man.
Speaking of the Lakers, what would y'all do if you're Rob Pelinka?
Ooh, that's a question.
What would I do with the Lakers?
Yeah.
I've been saying it, man. You move LeBron.
Bro, there's no way. Okay, but okay, Chen, what would you do if you're moving LeBron? Do you look for players, or are you like straight up like rebuilding this thing.
You can't look for players because any team LeBron goes to, he's gonna want to play with some guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like in a perfect NBA 2K My League type
The
shit, I
2K
would move LeBron
world would
for.
do that, but
Yeah,
there is.
I'd move him for as much assets as possible.
I think a team would rather trade Victor Wembanyama for Evan Fournier than to be the only team to ever trade, like arguably the greatest player to ever lace them up.
Do you think they would get so much backlash? Like how?
They
Oh my
would.
God, damn! You know
Fuck
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
they would.
but they've never really been successful. Like I would almost say like this is. I mean, LeBron's older, okay,
Mhm.
and I don't want to say it's like entirely on him, but like because of the way that you have to play around him, and as he's older, and it doesn't seem like he's given up more of his less like more of his usage. It's like, how do you win with the guy
You don't.
if you don't? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's had one championship and one Western Conference visit since what 2019. I mean, like that's more than a lot of teams can say. Okay, I'll be honest about that. But it's like almost every single year you were freaking crashing this team to the ground, trading every single piece. Like your core is literally LeBron and AD every single season, and everybody else is brand new. There's no consistency. Like, what do you do about this team, man? Like, do you think that like if they were to make a trade this trade deadline, is there a trade out there? Like last year we weren't expecting what Rob Pelinka did, but like do you think there's a trade out there like this, like last season now, that they could compete considering how deep the West is?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I like the idea of DeJounte Murray going to LA.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
You know, I think there's no like crazy level of player that they can acquire with the pieces that they have. You know, it's Rob Pelinka is gonna have to work some magic again. But yeah, I don't know. Oh man, LeBron should just request a trade to go to Golden State, play with Steph.
That would
I'd
be,
love to
you know
see
what's
that.
funny? That'd be the perfect. That would be the perfect fit.
That would, if you put Steph, if we put Steph and LeBron together, that's better than Kobe and Shaq.
Oh, I don't know about that, bro.
You don't think so?
Shoot.
I think that's an arguable take, though. I would say. I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but I'd say that's
It
a good
isn't.
take.
Yeah, it's a good take, but damn, Shaq and Kobe were so dominant, and like, I mean, it's a different game now, so I would give that to you for sure. Like
And
LeBron.
who are the guys that have run the NBA ever since Shaq and Kobe were separated?
I'm
You
not.
know what
I'm
saying?
not arguing that. Like you put LeBron and Steph together, like the fit is perfect, but damn,
You know,
Shaq and Kobe, man.
if I'm the Warriors front office, if I'm Mike Dunleavy Jr., I'm drafting Bronny.
All right, yo, clip this. Playing against Kobe and Shaq was like an episode of Blacked, bro.
What?
Oh,
Y'all was getting pieced together. I'm not. I'm not
I,
repeating that one.
I thought I heard. No, I just didn't hear that right.
I think you heard it right.
Kobe and Shaq was destroying dudes, man. Come on.
Oh,
That is crazy, yo.
yo, that's
I don't know
fucking
it. I don't know
wild.
it. I just heard Blacked as a term. I don't know what it is.
That's
Okay, buddy.
According to sources, I do not.
Sources.
Do not.
Who are
Please,
your sources?
these are just allegations. I do not know what Blacked is. I've never heard of it before.
Your allegations are
Other than
your
just
sources are
terms on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Twitter X. Shout out Elon Musk.
You must, man. Twitter's falling off. All right.
Yeah, brother. That thing, like, yo, what I was about to say next was gonna be hilarious,
Say it.
bro. You scroll down, you see an episode of Blacked on there, bro. I'd be like, bro, why? I just watch basketball in here. What am I
No,
seeing?
man. Elon, it's just looks like the stuff. Elon looks like a guy that watches stuff like that.
Yeah, brother.
Alrighty. Let's get back towards basketball.
This is basketball, bro.
True.
Not
All
much
right.
dribbling.
Different kind of balls. Okay. Draymond Green. You know, we've heard that he was on the midst of retiring. Adam Silver, man, this is getting too much. I can't punch, motherfuckers. This is getting too much. But you know, how do y'all project the Warriors looking like when Draymond does come back? Do you think it's more of the same? Do you think you get a little better? Do they fully implode? What would y'all put your money on?
What do you think, Chen?
I'm just looking at the standings where they're even at right now. They're 12th in the West. I mean, they maybe get a bit better, but I think this team honestly had a really hot start, and it's kind of just showing that their age is a huge problem. I think someone like Chris Paul was shown to be making an impact. Now I believe he's still injured, right?
Yeah, he's out for a while.
Yeah, your guy who was your facilitator and best defender has been having emotional issues on and off the floor, at this ripe age. And Klay Thompson, no disrespect, is just a shell of himself. I would not really put any flack on Steph Curry. I know he's had some bad games, but personally I think he's the only player that's not outside of his prime, or at least outside of his, I guess, how good he actually can be. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see this team really getting that much better. I know we were going to talk about trades, but I think this is one team that is probably in contention for some big moves, if any are to be made.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they'll get better a little bit. Not really much to add to Chen. I think they'll get a little bit better defensively. I think you get a little bit of playmaking, and then you can move Steph a little bit more off the ball again, which they've had so much success doing that. But the question I want to pose to you guys because of this, it's do you think this let's say you have your starting lineup, and your three, as we've consistently known, as to be Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Are those three guys in your starting lineup, as a core? Can you sit here today and build a team around that three and actually believe that they can win a championship? Because let's say you put all the perfect pieces around them. Let's say you put Miles Turner at center, and let's say you put who's a OG Anunoby, really solid fit, or a secondary scorer. You put a Paul George there. Is that team good enough to win a chip? Considering Clay's a shell of himself. Dre hasn't been effective, unless there is a secondary scorer like a PG, or, when Wiggins was playing out of his mind, or you had another 3-point threat like an Otto Porter. For me, I look at that, I'm like, I don't think they can, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Because part of me feels like with the Warriors, I feel like a trade has to come within that core.
You think they move one of the three? Oh,
I mean, I said this to the podcast about benching Clay.
Yeah.
But
I like the idea of benching
further.
Clay. Because I think when you think about it, he can't really defend anymore, especially at the level he was at pre-injury.
Yeah.
And I also think that if you put him to the bench, it just takes the pressure off of having to be like Klay Thompson. I guess essentially is what I'm getting at. The pressure to get back to the level of a guy who was, at times looked like the greatest shooter in the world, even on a team with Stephen Curry. And I think if you were to put him onto the bench, it would help him find almost like Melo. Carmelo was a world beater. Carmelo at some points in time is looking like the greatest scorer to ever touch a ball. How easy he made everything look, like how much he bullied and impacted his will on guys. I think you got a similar feeling with Clay in terms of being able to use his movement to get open, to really shoot the ball, and when you needed to get a stop. And now, you know, when we take a look back, you're not the same guy. You don't really have all the same tools as before. They're getting a little dull. But if you lessen the workload, take a bit of a step back, and then, you know, you can get something close to, you can have spurts of where you were. So like honestly, if I'm Clay, I would talk to Melo and really try to get into that psyche of going from one of the guys to more so being a support kind of role.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could definitely help just like allow the young players to finally get into a position of like, I think, confidence with the team. I think
Mm-hmm.
these rumors, I'm sure you guys have heard the rumors with Jonathan Kaminga, like leaks
Yeah.
of him just being displeased with the trust or lack of trust there, more so with the coaching staff and like the young guys. So I personally think you don't let those guys walk just because of the amount of time you've already developed into them and the potential they've shown. I just think they're at a really weird place where they're not playing to their full potential because of, I guess, the schematics of having Klay Thompson start, of having Draymond Green start. Because I personally think Draymond at this point in time should, and given the season he has, but I think it's just more so because he hasn't had real time play. He should really be more of a player that's playing about 25 minutes a night and kind of transitioning off and on the bench. But yeah, I think you do need to like have some sacrifices made and be realistic about your future. Otherwise, you kind of sell out the team, because I think unless they are intentional with like still winning, I think a lot of these players end up moving more by the force of will than by the Warriors' choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like for me, with Draymond coming back, you look at it from the long term perspective and even like short term. I don't think they get that much better. I don't think we're talking about them. Draymond's back. They're a top 6 team.
I don't know.
I don't think. Yeah, none of us here would say that right now. So, but does a trade get them there? Does like getting a Pascal or does getting a Dejounte Murray or whatever?
Yeah, I was gonna
Does
say
that
I
make them?
like the idea of DeJounte on that team.
But would you say that makes them a top 16 immediately? Like not in
That's
terms of the
tough.
record, but do you think in terms of the caliber compared to, let's look at the top 6 right now. The Wolves, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Pels. Does that put them in the conversation of the caliber teams like that?
I think if it's because the trade I saw was Chris Paul and Moses Moody, and uh that's how you land DeJounte.
Mm.
I think if you do that,
You have a better
I
chance.
think that's more of a chance than if you were to give up like a Kaminga. Because I think the key to unlocking this Warriors offense is, having a guy that isn't 38 years old or 35 plus years old being some of your primary initiators. Because,
Yeah,
DeJounte, I think you pair DeJounte alongside a guy like Stephen Curry, and he can get back towards being like the Spurs, all-star that we were seeing. Because, Steph doesn't need the ball at all times. He's able to, you know, catch and shoot like nobody's business. And if you pair him with a guy like DeJounte who's able to, get to the mid range, drive at times, give you the occasional 3 points, uh, and you pair that alongside a guy like Jonathan Kuminga who has athleticism out of this world, like
yeah,
who's a 0.1% athlete amongst NBA athletes. I think there just needs to be a really big major shakeup. I think you go from the starting five of what you already have as well as to trading, because you got to do something for sure.
Mm-hmm.
agreed.
One thing I want to talk to y'all about is there was the Miami Heat. The realest organization in the NBA, man.
Mm.
They looked out for our Filipino brother. They waited for him to settle his financial burden with his former wife. And now that dude is looking at 8 years, $120 million. So I think, I just want to, I guess, sort of, give Eric Spoelstra his flowers and that Miami Heat team as a whole. Because I think what we're looking at is probably, there was a point in time where I think everybody was saying, oh man, the best run organization is the Golden State Warriors. They win chips. They did it with the guys they drafted. But I think what saw there was also the erosion of culture. But the Miami Heat, man, as corny as Heat culture can look on a jersey, that shit is real.
Yeah, I think he might be top 5, one of the greatest coaches in the NBA history.
I agree.
Let's talk about who would y'all say is so Phil, Pop.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, are we going by order? I mean, I would say Phil, Pop. I definitely want to throw
Sloan.
Jerry Sloan. You got to think about Kerr. You got to
Steve Kerr.
About...
Steve Kerr is, in my opinion, I don't think Steve Kerr is even a top 10 coach. Respectfully, this guy walked into a 50-win team.
I mean, that's fair, but I think also he's also put in a really tough situation where how he wants to coach is not the roster construction that he's been given. And so maybe, okay, I guess that's worth an argument. I mean, some of these best coaches have been ones that have been able to adapt to their situations. But if you talk about a guy like Phil, it's not been a guy that was adjusted away from the triangle in any of his situations and sort of walked into great situations too. So, I mean, that argument also plays part for a guy like Phil Jackson. But so Phil, Pop, what do you think, Jen?
I personally think there's an argument for Kerr. I mean, I understand DJ's sentiment for sure. I think it's just that his situation is somewhat similar to Phil's in a sense where he did walk into a really great situation, but he made it perfect. He was kind of like
that's a good
what kind of created the perfect storm, because I think they were really piecing it together when it was Mark Jackson before when he was coaching, and as soon as Steve Kerr walked in, he brought them that championship, and I think it came a lot to just kind of understanding the dynamic he was coming into, as much like how Phil Jackson came into the team when Michael Jordan was continuously losing in the playoffs. I think he, from a perspective, didn't come up from nothing as a coach. So I think that's why the argument for him being outside the top 5 is reasonable. But I think as far as cementing a legacy for an organization, I think he's definitely been a pivotal part of that. And I think when you just think of the dynasties of the last 20 years, the Warriors dynasty has to be considered one of the best, if not the best. So that's why I put him top 5 personally, just kind of the impact he's had on that organization.
Well, let's name some of the few. So we would have Kerr in there. I mean, I think Pat Riley's certain in that conversation too.
Yeah.
I think Red Auerbach in terms of 9 championships, as a coach, that's just some insane stuff. I mean, we talked about Sloan. We had Sloan in there. I mean, who do you take out? But if you look at the longevity of Spo and even the eye test and what he's done on the court, some of his very unique schemes, the way he's had so many different teams, but he's able to get the most out of them. I mean, is there anyone better?
I think I would word it to where Spo's been the most effective coach in terms of personnel management, being able to outsmart coaches. Because I mean, he's the reason Mike Budenholzer lost his job. I mean, he's, I think, just fully, he's like the Filipino American dream. When you think about a lot of the coaches, they're guys that have been assistants on multiple franchises, and then they get their shot. But we all know the story of Eric Spoelstra. Started out as a video guy, slowly worked his way up, and now like I'm looking at like most wins by an NBA coach, that kind of list. In my opinion, you know I think I would have to go Pop, Phil, Red, Pat, and then I think there's a conversation for Spo to be 5.
I agree.
Yeah.
How many finals runs? So I mean, championships alone, he's got what 2, and was he the video coordinator in 2006?
Spo? Here,
Yeah.
I'll Google it.
I mean, if he was a video coordinator in 2006, like there's definitely an argument to be made because he's technically part of the coaching staff that year as an assistant. But then, like you talk about when he took over the job, like how many losing seasons has he had overall? Like he hasn't had very many. He's made 2 finals trips. I mean, he's the first one to make a finals from the play-in, and I don't know how soon we'll see that again.
Ah, man, it's gonna be a while. They won 05-06, right?
Yeah.
It says here was an assistant coach.
Oh, there you go.
But I don't know if that's like.
Oh no, you're right because he was a coordinator with the Heat since the 90s.
Yeah, he's been there
If
for
I'm
a
not
while.
mistaken. Yeah, so he's been part of that culture for a really long time. Obviously, he kind of usurped the role from an all-timer in um Pat Riley, but yeah, there's certainly an argument for him. I mean, if you want to compare the championship runs and things like that from beginning to end, outside of Kerr's 4 championships as a coach?
Yeah.
4 championships as a coach? Every other season, he's barely made the finals. Not even made the finals. Every other season, he's never made the finals, no?
Oh, from the end of the Heatles?
Sorry, for Kerr, if we're comparing.
Oh, Kerr.
Because, like, Spo's made the finals twice. 3 times. Didn't win it. But then, obviously, 2 championships. And then several winning seasons.
It's been 4 and he hasn't won. So he's been to, what was that, like 6 finals? I think it is
There's
tough
certainly an
though,
argument.
because like, I'll come down from the Steve Kerr
Filipino cloud.
soapbox, the Filipino cloud and the Steve Kerr soapbox. Oh man, I don't even know really what I want to say because like, yeah, I suppose just that guy. Spo, I think when it comes to being a tactician, I don't think anybody can really like measure up outside of maybe Pop.
Mm.
And then Kerr, for sure. I think as much as we could say, you could get like one of the video guys or the janitor to coach that team and they still would have won. There was still the job to do. So, I guess you do give Kerr a bit of, grace there. But I just feel like Kerr is really, he's really just dropped the ball the past few years. When we look at the lack of proper player development, the lack of holding guys accountable, the lack of, the fact that they're this low of a seed and you have a generational player like Stephen Curry, it's hard. But Eric Spoelstra, he's like the meme of that African dude. Tough time never left. Or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Only tough people last.
Only tough people.
Only tough people last.
Oh.
Bro, that was hilarious.
All right, let's transition into the last section of the pod here. We can just throw out some names and you just say the team you want them to be on heading into this trade deadline.
All right.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Warriors.
Ooh, that is I like that
Warriors, eh?
situation. Yeah.
I think he's, for me, my favorite fit out of all the available guards. Just because I don't think his price would be as expensive as a DeJounte.
True.
Fair.
That's my only argument. But if I were to pick, it'd be DeJounte. But I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with the Warriors. Like, it would be a really good pickup for them, just considering that I personally think they don't have much of a depth when it comes to the guard play. I don't know if there is really another team that needs that sort of player right now. I'm really trying to think. Like, I think we don't talk about them a lot on the pod, to be honest. And I think their current guard situation is decent, but it could be better. And considering their position, I think Philadelphia could be a good team for them to land, considering they have assets to move.
Nice.
Philly
Yeah.
would be a good fit. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think they could use a player like him.
All right, I'll throw in a third team here as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I think you put him on the Knicks. That could be
Ooh,
Yeah,
that
you
could
said that.
be
Good,
like a really, really good backcourt of him and JB. Because
yeah,
Brogdon's what, like 6'5", so it's not like you're
Yeah.
pairing him with a small guard. Alrighty, not necessarily a trade candidate, but definitely somebody we could look out for on the buyout market. Gordon Hayward.
Mm. Like, this is if he's bought out and he's just picked
Yeah,
up.
because I definitely don't think anybody's trading for. He's making what, 30 M's?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. If they don't make a big splash and stay home, Oklahoma City.
Like him in OKC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I like him because he
Yeah.
does all the things we talk about. Like, he can shoot the ball and rebound, and there's some size there at the 3 position. Come off the bench.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel about it, DJ, but I personally think the Bucks could benefit from one more.
Oh,
But
man.
that's
I would like that, but
yeah.
the homer in me is still holding out for PJ.
Yeah, no, 100%. I just think it'd help fill out the
That would
depth
for
of
sure
the
help.
Bucks. Yeah.
The team I had in mind, Christian just mentioned them. I think the Sixers. Like they don't need like another James Harden type of guy. They need a Gordon Hayward. They need more peripheral movement. All right, another player on the same team, Terry Rozier. A guy that's averaging 25 at the moment, if I'm not mistaken.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah. No, he's balling,
hooping.
man. He's a difficult one to think for. Because if you look across the league, everybody has like their key guards, and unless he's willing to take a backseat role, I mean,
there's one team I'm looking at right now. I personally think, like, I don't know what they could give up to get him, so this is just me saying they could use a guy like this. But I think the Timberwolves could definitely use someone off the bench, like a better point guard. No shade to Jordan McLaughlin. I didn't know he was the second in command, and I'm not saying they really need to mess up what they have. They're doing something right over there, but I think they could definitely just have a spark plug off the bench.
Yeah, who's their backup currently? Like, isn't it Shake Milton?
Shake Milton's also in the rotation.
Too, yeah, but J-Mac, it's what's it called? Chris Finch loves J-Mac, I feel.
So what? Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, man, it would be perfect to have him. But like, damn, that price range.
That's a lot of money to match.
Yeah,
money to match and just talent overall. Because I think Rozier's trade value is probably high as a mother right now.
For me, I think him in Miami could be something that helps push him up even more. Because I mean, you look at like their second unit. Who's even on their second unit?
Good question.
Oh, I guess Duncan. Duncan's on their second unit.
Wow, great.
Duncan Robinson, man. He's just a white guy. He's not. He lost his white boy status.
Oh, was it Josh Richardson? I mean, Jaime Haka is off their bench, but I mean, he's been starting mostly, right, since
Yeah,
Jimmy's injury.
because Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, they would definitely need a guy like Richard. I mean, you could even start him at your guard spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're. I mean, they've been playing pretty well with Kyle Lowry, so shout out Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry.
All right, y'all got any more names to throw out?
I mean, we touched on it. Let's say we've mentioned a few, but keep away from the ones we've mentioned with DeJounte. Like, what is your perfect fit if you were to look at this right now? Like, where does he fit perfectly in your eyes?
Ooh, man. I watched like a quick clip of an interview of him the other day, and it was in San Antonio. I think if he were to go back home,
bring him back.
He's like him and Wemby. I think could be nasty work.
That'd be such a good pairing, honestly.
Right?
I'm really sad they lost him to begin with, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we discuss it at the time? Like, I wasn't a big fan of that. I mean,
that was a terrible trade, honestly.
I was high on it because I thought they could make it work, but yeah, by all intents and purposes, that shit is ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more so talking about the value. I think like it was, I respected him as a player, but I thought they like got him for nothing.
Yeah, that was pretty close to nothing. And in terms of like the fit too, like two very heavy ball usage guys, man.
I remember we all, maybe not all of us, but I for sure thought Trey he was about to complete his like Steph arc. I thought he was going to become like an off-ball demon.
And that's like that was always the construct of him being like, hey man, Trae Young is the usurper of Steph Curry. But the brother doesn't, for some reason, not like to run off screens, even though he's like the best 3-point threat on the court 90% of the time. I don't know, brother. I don't know what you do with him. Trae Young is difficult to build around, especially a young guard a small guard can't play defense. So,
well, who y'all got for DeJounte?
I was thinking Miami for him.
Yeah, that'd be a good fit. I like that.
That only because like then he gets the ball in his hands, he can create for the other guys. Jimmy seems to be a guy that likes to take a step back. But then if he's and I think he's in top 5 in pull-up threes this season. So it's not like his percentages from the perimeter. I mean, that was sort of a knock on his game coming in, but like, I mean, if he has that element, then you pair that really well with a guy like Bam and Jimmy. I think that fit is really nice. I think that would make them immediately a top 6 team in my opinion.
Yeah.
What is he? If any of you guys know off the top, what is he like? What is his pay range right now? Because I'm looking at one team, and again, like I don't really look at contracts here, so I don't know if he fits this team.
You have to match 18 million this year, but after that it's 25, 27, 29, and then 31.
It's not a bad price for DeJounte though,
right?
If you're thinking about it.
No. Yeah, I don't know how the money matches with this team, but I think the talks of Lauri Markkanen going to OKC would be great, but I'm looking at how they want to get rid of Josh Giddey anyways, and I think he fits into this depth chart pretty nice. I think moving Shea or him to play the 2 is still serviceable, and I personally think like that could be another approach just in terms of timeline. But
that's interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think they got money for
stick with what he got right now.
Huh?
I mean, you got to move Giddey. Giddey's the man out, yo.
True, but you're trading Josh Giddey for another dude that's gonna want to dribble the ball.
I just think he does a bit more than Josh Giddey, though. I mean,
yeah, it comes without the allegations too.
It comes without the allegations, and I mean, it also comes with just like someone who can just do a little bit more on the ball in general. Josh Giddey, this is the reason I dropped him like the second week of fantasy before he even had the allegations.
Send that brother to the wrong place, man. Damn.
You know where he needs
DeJounte
to
in
go?
OKC is an interesting one.
He needs to go to Utah, Josh Giddey. They
Damn.
tolerate that stuff.
Bro, you see they're coming out with that feature on Karl Malone and
Oh,
John Stockton, and I saw
oh,
and I saw someone's tweet was like, yes, a feature on a racist and a pedophile.
yeah.
And I was like, damn. And then
I
another one where it's like,
literally
Utah, these are your stars.
I saw like, oh, it was so bad. It was like a clip of from God of War with like Kratos and Thor, and one of them was the C, and one was the P.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
fuck, man.
Oh god. Utah, y'all got it tough, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Their name don't even make sense because they came from New Orleans.
That's true. I got two more names for you guys.
Let's hear it.
Okay. First one, Dorian Finney-Smith.
Ooh, I know what I want to say, but I want to hear what Chin's got.
Dorian Finney-Smith. Nah, I don't even know.
That's that boy.
I kind of want to see him on the Celtics. I'm just looking at teams right now. I think they could definitely benefit from just his defensive presence. Not that they
Homer.
need a lot, but
Homer.
Fucking Homer.
I'm just being honest. That's why I want to see him.
For me,
I see
I
that.
said it last pod. I think him and Orlando would really,
Oh,
help set them up for not only the now, for the grittiness and the poise that Dorian Finney-Smith plays with, but iron sharpens iron. We all know that saying. Him and Paulo's already looking like a superstar. I think you let him brush shoulders a bit with a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith, who's like obviously not the same build, but they sort of play a similar position of being, a tweener kind of. You have the size to play the 4 and the 3, but you kind of match up with multiple positions. I think that could be something really beneficial. So yeah, I think Dorian, I just want to see play meaningful basketball. Either that or get him back on Dallas.
I can see those two fits for sure. Celtics would be a nice one, actually.
If the Celtics got Dorian Finney-Smith, I think it's already more locks than it already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, he would just be a good upgrade over Sam Hauser, is what I'm saying. All right.
Sam Hauser's been shooting the lights out.
He's
a white
My
boy.
Lord.
Yeah, I'm not saying he wouldn't get minutes. I'm just saying there would be some melanin on that second lineup.
Damn.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Black on the Celtics.
And you think that's what Boston wants?
Hell no. Boston
they
racist crowds, right?
Oh,
we
yeah.
it.
That's why their stars light skin.
Only one of them.
I feel like I swear to God, this is the Cat Williams podcast today. We're just calling it every racist and pedophile.
Man, I think Cat Willis has made it okay to just pop your shit off.
All right, let's start with this. Yo, the refs.
Ass.
All right, last name. DeMar DeRozan.
Damn.
Fuck, man, that's the toughest one, I think.
Because I know people aren't saying about him getting traded. They've been better without Zach LaVine. It seems like DeMar is the one to stick around, but like, I could see him being a dark horse like player being moved during the deadline. And also, his contract is it's a bargain for what he signed.
It's only like what 20, 25, right?
Yeah,
he signed 4 years, 100. Because this is the last year of the contract he signed initially with Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, do you think for me, an interesting team that I just seeing him on there would be like so fun is the Nuggets.
Damn.
Like, because like think about like the ball handling, you could play him as a hub when Jokic is off the bench. I mean, you could play them together because the team has so much shooting. and like him in the high low post with Jokic is, I think that's like, you go to some classic basketball too with DeMar and Jokic in the high
Yeah.
low,
That's kind of a
and
nasty idea. Yeah.
right, and he's so good at playmaking. And I think him on the top of the key, and then you're looking at Michael Porter Jr. You got Aaron Gordon, you got Jamal, you got KCP.
But then how would you
I mean,
match it?
Yeah, yeah. How do you match the money then?
Because you probably got to give up one of those guys.
hey, we never said nothing about will it be perfect.
Yeah, you know, I think DeMar on the Celtics would be the tip.
DeMar on the Toronto Raptors, you know.
Yeah, that's
But
tough.
in
'Cause,
terms
like,
of the money, yeah, you would probably have to trade a guy like Michael Porter Jr. You'd probably have to, look into like sending a guy like Peyton Watson out, some of your draft compensation, like just to make that money work. But
man, Peyton Watson's that boy.
yes, I mean,
Man,
Nuggets obviously make the argument that they could just stay put and they'll be a championship contender. But
Yeah. They get PJ
Yeah.
Tucker, it's over. I'm gonna
that would
cry.
be a nice shoot. How about if the Raptors get PJ Tucker? Damn.
It's why the fuck would he leave LA to go to a team that's not even gonna make the playoffs?
Brother, they could make the playoffs, man. Damn.
What are they?
Hey, who knows? Look at the Raptors since the trade.
It's gonna be tough when you get screwed over by the refs like they did yesterday.
Man, that is not a new thing to Raptors fans. We've been getting screwed over by refs since our
Absolutely.
inauguration of the Toronto Raptors.
Absolutely.
Xenophobia, man, is out here, bro. All these Americans think they're better than us. Cat Williams today, man. I'm popping off of my Cat Williams. All you
Say what you need to
Americans.
say.
Jeez.
DeMar DeRozan, though,
He's an interesting one.
yeah.
I think the 76ers got the money to match personally.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they have every right to go for a player like that with just the win now situation they're really trying to achieve.
I could absolutely see that fit.
Did he play under Nurse?
Nurse was the assistant coach during all those years with DeMar and Lowry.
Oh, okay.
I think he was an assistant since 15 or 16, I think.
Well, it was Nick Nurse's rookie coaching season the year they won?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Jeez.
impressive.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
And then the next year they were number 1 in the East before like the bubble. So
for me, I think DeMar on either Miami or Cleveland is kind of where I'm torn between.
Cleveland.
Because I think with Cleveland, they have enough spacing around it. I think their big thing is just when the game slows down, there aren't a lot of the guys there that can, get a bucket.
Make something out of nothing.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, I think, is a guy who can, but when it comes to just creating at the top of the key, I don't think that's what I would personally want from Donovan Mitchell. I think he's more of like a, a downhill pull up kind of guy. He can for sure do the ISO at the top, but oh man.
There's so many ways DeMar can go about it, man. In this low post, high post, like he can get you off pin downs.
Oh man. If DeMar played in the 80s and 90s, he'd be Michael Jordan. Oh God.
No, man. No, you know what? I like the Sixers and the Cavs fits. Because like those
the
are
Sixers, I think
like he could
the Sixers is definitely intriguing.
It's just about the money too, if you look at it. But those are good fits.
Does that mean DeMar goes back to being a 2?
In the Sixers situation, I think so.
Could he guard the opposing 2? It depends on any given night.
I mean, he's in the All-Star selections as a 2.
I mean, that's true. Wait, is he really? Because I mean, he's gotten in
as a guard.
No,
I think
he's gotten in as a guard.
He's in as a guard at the moment.
Damn, but then he literally plays the 3 or 4 at times for Chicago.
Yeah. Oh man.
His career is a weird one because he could definitely play 2, 3, and 4.
He was playing 1 in San Antonio.
That's true. He was playing 1 in San Antonio. That's why he's got all those playmaking chops now. That's why he's like literally the perfect offensive player.
Yeah.
Aside from the 3.
And I think it's just he doesn't take them. He can make them for sure.
He can make him. Yeah. He's still a threat out there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I like those fits.
Him in Philly, I actually really like that.
Because you could run the high-low post action with him and Joel too.
Yeah.
Damn, can you imagine him coming off a pin down or like off the pop screen with Joel, and then he has the option to dump it or fade it with Joel or take it downhill? Like that 2-man action would be scary. Or like you could do the guard screen with Tyrese Maxey, or like Tobias even like that 3-4 screen, and like having Tobias fade out. Oh my god.
Man.
That would be a fun. That would be a fun mix.
DeMar
Like,
to
bro.
Philly, make it happen,
Bro. Holy, that would be a lot of fun.
He would probably just have to throw together like. I feel like Marcus Morris and Rocco would get it done because they both make like decent teens kind of money.
Yeah, and I believe both of them are expiring, and then you add some draft compensation to that.
Yeah.
Because Chicago's probably want to just get off the books and rebuild at that point.
Yeah. Foster Kobe White's growth.
Yes. I like that. Chin had it.
Yeah, Chin cooked up with that one for sure. All right. Any last things y'all want to say before we get out of here?
I got nothing.
Be solid.
We're solid for sure. I think next episode we definitely got to maybe start looking at our all-star ballots. But aside from that, stay safe, stay blessed. We'll see y'all soon.
Black shots.
Black shots.